for many years.
Yeah.
So,
That's
really?
yeah.
That's
No, I was like the only.
There's an interesting thing about you I didn't know. You're an animal lover?
Yeah, I think I was the only member of Congress when I first ran endorsed by the Humane Society and the NRA. That's usually not a group. That usually isn't a coalition that teams up frequently.
Well, I mean, you can be for gun ownership without wanting to murder animals with it. And also, look, I talked a lot to people who hunt and shit, and they convinced me, like, I was a little naive about some of that stuff. First of all, farming actually kills a lot of animals. To plow a field, you got to kill everything in that field, every mouse, every vole, every chipmunk, everything that lives there has got to go so you can till that soil. And also, like when you go to the supermarket and you're buying chopped meat, I mean, like somebody killed it.
And sometimes, I just learned, sometimes you'll go there and get like a pack of hamburgers meat, and it came from like 30 different cows. It didn't come off of one animal.
Yeah, pink slime.
The one that gets me when it comes to that scale of farming is what they're doing with the palm oil in Indonesia, in South Asia, where it is just you and I will live to see the last orangutan die. The thing that is most like humans on the entire planet Earth will be extinct because of palm oil, as if that's some great need.
No, it's not. It's not even good for you.
No. Are you here? So our origin story for me goes back to Politically Incorrect, what I still believe is one of the, I'm not just kissing your ass, one of the best shows that was on TV.
Thanks.
It's way better than your show now, but it's
Politically Incorrect. So insulting.
Politically Incorrect was so good.
That's so insulting.
It's not. I'm just for the OG.
You're saying to me what I did 25 years ago is better than what I've done the last 20 years. That's insulting. I'm not going to be mad at you for the rest of the interview. I just want to tell you, that's just a fucking stupid way to start a conversation.
So you think
you peaked 20 years ago, Bill? Let's be friends.
No, it's not peaking.
That's what you just said.
It's a better artistic presentation of your work.
First of all, you're wrong. So you could say to me, I like that show too, but it's certainly not better than Real Time. It just isn't. It was what it was. It was a design train wreck. People from different walks of life. Maybe you were young, it appealed to you more then. What don't you like about the current show?
I think it's good. It's not a criticism of the current show. Look, I like, Taylor Swift's current stuff. I don't think it's better than her initial album.
Well, don't compare me to Taylor Swift. I'm not a big fan.
No, but in terms of artists, you can have better presentations of your art.
So but I mean, Real Time, we have on actually intellectual people and people who are expert in talking about the subjects we're talking about. Politically Incorrect, we had, Carrot Top and Pauly Shore on.
No, but what I liked about it is that you would interface those folks with lawmakers, with with authors, people like that, and you do that on Real Time as well.
But not Pauly Shore. You have to be knowledgeable of what we're talking about. It's a much more adult show. I invented it, sweetheart. So, I love Politically Incorrect. The sign is right behind you. But it's not better than what I do now. I mean, the game went up. It didn't go down. But, everybody's like their opinion.
Do you think part of that is attention span is so fleeting now? Like when we would create content in my congressional office, like the young staffers would come in and say, oh, if it's above like 8 seconds, you're losing audience at such a rapid pace.
It's so interesting that we're doing a podcast, which if you do just an hour, the audience thinks that's too short. I get what you're saying. I've asked this question many times. I don't get the attention span of the American public. It seems to be either 8 seconds or 2 hours. They want podcasts to be long. When I just did an hour, there was always screaming at me, no, more. What do you make of that?
I look at what happened in the sports space where ESPN has to go and fire all of these expensive on-air talents in order to go put Pat McAfee on streaming multiple hours a day in service of that long-form audience. But then again, like the way that Instagram is driven now by the reels or the whatever it is, their stories, and then YouTube has their short form content. Yeah, I guess it's either short or long, and the middle is losing.
So, are you happy to be free of Congress and
I'm
all
pretty
this
happy.
kind of stuff?
Well, I don't
You
consider
seem very relaxed.
as relaxed as one can be under these conditions. Uh, I think that Congress is supposed to be temporary. I mean, I'd done it for 8 years. I'd been in elected office 6 years before that in the state legislature. So from age 26 to 42, I was an elected official. And I think that should be a season of life. I don't think it should be your whole life.
But I mean, like the things that people talk about when they get out of Congress, that they are so happy that they don't have to do anymore, like fundraising and that
I
stuff.
never did that anyway. I mean, I am the only Republican, I was the only Republican in Congress who took no lobbyist money, no PAC money. And I decided I would rather sink or swim on my own than be a valet for those people.
Well, how did you get away with that? I mean, how did you then get the money to run your elections? Because why does everybody else do it?
Before Donald Trump, there was no small dollar infrastructure on the Republican side. Obama had created that. He used the Chicago ward style system, put it on the internet, scaled it to the moon, and there was
Go back. I don't know what you're
yeah.
talking about.
Well, so
What's the Chicago ward style?
Democrats invested in the internet before Republicans, politically speaking. And so they did this list building. Traditionally, that list building, your ward boss would know this person needs a little help with groceries, this person's son needs a job, this person cares about issue X or the park, whatever. And that was managed very locally. What Obama understood is that you could digitize that and scale it to the moon. David Plouffe wrote a great book about one of the best books on politics, Audacity to Win.
Yeah, in 2008, they definitely had the technological advantage.
It took us
changed.
Yeah, it took us until 2016 to really catch up because the internet was the only thing that could harness all of this interest in politics that was Trump was generating among low propensity voters. And I rode that wave. I had like over 100,000 active donors throughout the country. I think my average donation was around $88.
But also I mean, look, again, I'm glad we're meeting and talking because I feel like I already know you better than what I've known for the whole time I've been, seeing you just on TV and in the news because I don't trust anything in the news. So I mean, that's kind of interesting right there. But okay, first of all, were your parents? Where do you get your politics? Like, is it from your parents?
Yeah,
Were they Republicans?
My mother was a Southern Democrat who voted Democrat her whole life until Jimmy Carter gave away the Panama Canal. And then, for some reason, that was the issue that turned my mother into a Republican.
She must be thrilled that your boy's going to take it back.
She can't wait. She's real pumped about the Mount McKinley change as well.
What do you think about that? What do you think about us becoming an empire again and just annexing places? I did not see that coming. And when I say I did not see that coming, I'm going to spell it for you. IDIDNAZI. I did not see that coming because we really shouldn't be annexing, should we? Annexing? I mean, doesn't Greenland have to actually sell it to us if they wanted to? Isn't it their choice?
I care a lot more about whether or not we're going to annex features of the Panama Canal or Greenland than, whether or not Russia annexes Crimea. Like, I think that you can.
But are you for it?
Huh? Annexing Greenland and parts of the Panama Canal? Sure, if it's a deal that makes sense.
But we don't own them.
Well,
so you're saying
it's a real estate transaction, Bill.
It's not an invasion is not a real estate transaction.
Well, we don't say anything about an invasion.
Well, how else do you take something?
A real estate transaction.
So they would have to agree to it.
Yeah, we could buy it.
Okay, that's different than annexing.
Well, but
so you would agree that Denmark has to agree to it. We're not just going to take it.
The people of Greenland, I think, would be the most dispositive voice.
Okay, so we can go over the head of the government. What about, can we do that here? If some other foreign country came and asked the people of this country, do you want free blowjobs? We could just do that?
It would be a compelling offer. More, some would say,
Well,
some would
there's
say
the
more
Matt
compelling.
Gaetz I'd heard about.
It would be more compelling than
And look,
what a lot of people feel like they're getting from the
Okay.
government now.
I don't know what you've heard about me. I don't know what you heard about me. Remember that one?
Yeah.
But a bitch can't get $1 out of me. Well, that doesn't apply to you. Oh, I'm kidding. Sorry, I didn't mean to go. I didn't mean to go there. I just sang this song and put
way
it.
less than Skip Bayless, I would suggest.
What? Oh, boy, I saw that story.
1.5 million.
It's so typical, though, isn't it? Guys who are certainly of a certain age, but they can be young, who are just so desperate for any. Usually, they're married. I'm not knocking marriage, but and it's just been so long since they have any sort of affection or anyone touching them or laughing at their jokes that they make such fools of themselves they just want something from someone of the opposite sex that makes them feel alive again.
You're so right. And what is so, I think, undertold in the sugar daddy, sugar baby dynamic that we say play out pretty regularly across society now is like, who's taking advantage of who? Because what you just described, a lot of these guys that fit that archetype, they get in to some young pussy that they hadn't been in before, and they will do anything. They'll give up their family, their house, their money. It is so like, oh wait, are you saying that they're the person utilizing leverage and the power dynamic more than someone who quite literally has them by the balls?
Well, when you put it that way, Congressman, I mean, former Congressman.
Don't demote me.
I won't. But okay, so like I brought my book in, and this book you'll love, I think. Maybe not as much as my old one, since that's your pattern, but I want to read you, this is a chapter on this subject that we're talking about. It's very apropos for what you went through. And because it does get into economic issues. And also, I've never done this on this show, but I want to get the quotes right. I have quotes from people. Oh. And yeah, I've never brought anything on like this. But
I didn't know you were allowed to like bring homework.
I never have done it, but you're a little different. I got to get this right. It's for your benefit as much as anybody. And it's not against you. I'm an honest broker more than anything else. Okay, so, and that's why the left hates me too. The far left really hates me, and I welcome their hatred because I just will not carry the water of all their insanity or yours.
Well, and by the way, no one's asking
annexing Greenland
or buying it.
Buying it is different. See, again, let's just be honest. Come on, we're just guys talking here. Those are two different things. Just look me in the eye and tell me you understand that. They're two different things. Buying something that they agree to sell to us or just taking from another country. That's what Hitler did, and that's Putin. We're not. I know you guys like to be like flirting with authoritarianism, but well, let me ask you that question. You're a married man now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and your wife is lovely.
Thank you.
You did well. And okay, so sometimes in a marriage, the couple, I've heard both sides. I've heard couples say, yeah, I'm a big flirt, but it's okay because he knows I'll never cross the line. But so that's just okay in the marriage. That's like they've decided that's okay to flirt, or the guy does it. Then I've heard some marriages where it's like, no, that is crossing the line. Okay, I bring this up because you guys are really flirting with authoritarianism. You know what I mean? He admires.
Like, we didn't try to throw our political prisoners in jail. We talked about it, but we didn't actually try.
Oh, you did try.
We never indicted Hillary. We never indicted our enemies.
Yeah, because they blocked it. But who
blocked it?
The Justice Department. Well, there were actually some people there at the beginning who were a little more fair-minded. I mean, it's not going to be that way in the second term, although that's the job you were up for.
I was. And honestly, I was
If you had been there in 2016, would you have indicted Hillary?
Only if that's what the facts and the law commanded. I wouldn't have done it as some get back politically, because look, that doesn't end. And what I understand is if you do that to them and they do that to us, then you don't ever get out of the cycle. And as someone who has held some power, it's a pretty frightening concept that when you get out, the people who take power then can utilize the apparatus of the state to deprive you of your freedom.
But of course, you went right to whataboutism. You didn't really answer
well, I reject the premise that we flirt with authoritarianism.
Come on, man. Seriously? Using every possible lever to stay in office after he lost the election, plainly. Just always being friends with Putin. He likes him. He likes Viktor Orban. Always like pining to be with Team Strongman and not really being that, not really that, into our allies. You don't think that's flirting with authoritarianism? And if you flirt with it, he also makes jokes about, maybe after this term, if it's so good, we should have another one, which would be, again, an abrogation of the basic tenet of the Constitution, 2 terms. That's flirting. That's flirting. To even make a joke about it is flirting with authoritarianism. My question, like in a marriage, can you just flirt and not cross the line?
Of course.
Yeah, most don't, but okay. I'm telling you, most guys, if they flirt, what they're doing is they're seeing if the girl flirts back. If she doesn't, I was just flirting. If she does, yeah, I'll fuck her.
So you think
Come on.
flirtation only goes as far as your options at that moment?
Well put.
Yeah, well,
for a man.
Well, yeah, it might be different for women, but I think that in Trump's case, he looks at 4 years of a pretty peaceful world. You have to concede that. And when I got elected, the places where I would come in some conflict with Trump would be where he would seek powers of war that I thought were reposed in the Congress. And now, and I had all these Democrats really eager to work with me. No war with Iran. We should stop Trump from having that power. But then, as soon as Biden is cheerleading this war in Ukraine, all the anti-war Democrats became pro-war. There are no anti-war Democrats left.
That's an interesting point. It's off the point we're talking about a little bit. It's a
Well,
good.
I mean, if you're
you
talking
haven't
about
lost all your skills as the congressman. Come on,
if you're
man.
talking about the use of force to achieve your political goals, I think it's somewhat on topic.
It's not like the left doesn't do a version. I mean, they should not have been bitching about Trump is not a legitimate president. He's that was wrong. I agree. It's very different than actually trying to stay in power. We just had January 6th. It went off smoothly without a hitch. Everyone places. Okay, the rehearsal went great, and now we do it and we go home.
But
That's not what would have happened if you guys had lost, and you know that.
Bill, you understand
that is an asymmetry you have to address.
Okay, let me address it. You're right. This past week we had a wonderful January 6th. The last time we had a Republican president elected and Democrats did not object to the electors, do you know when the last time that was?
See, this is the kind of bullshit.
No, look, it was 1988. It was 1988 the last time they didn't object to Republicans. They objected to George W. Bush winning Ohio.
Objecting is different than calling the Justice Department and pressuring them to do things that even his own Justice Department wouldn't do. It's different than calling the guy in Georgia and saying, find me 11,000 votes. It's different than going to court with all these ridiculous cases that were laughed out of every courtroom. It's different than actually sending fake electors. Don't give me bullshit and we'll be friends. Bullshit me? No, we'll still be friends, but I'll think you're a hack. Instead of someone who could actually have an honest conversation and admit this asymmetry exists.
I don't believe it's asymmetrical at all. When you look at the way the Democratic Party used an authoritarian bum rush to get Joe Biden out of the race and replace him with Harris, was that the great sacrifice to the virtue of democracy and the great rejection of authoritarianism was swapping her out for him like it's some Mississippi Square dance?
Okay. I'm just going to end this part of our discussion by saying, I think just looking in your eye, talking to you, not the media guy I saw, you're a lot brighter than I thought you were.
Did you think I was not bright?
Yeah.
And what gave you that impression?
Like everything you've said and done. No, and also because the media is but I just never talked to, I could say, and by the way, this is only a semi-compliment because what I'm saying is, I think you're absolutely bright enough to know what I'm talking about. I understand why you have to carry the water for the other side because you are, your career is just beginning. Trump loves you. That's a good thing in this day and age. And so I get it. I get what you can and cannot say, and we can put that aside. Let's get back to Horde.
Pardon?
I want to read this because this really gets to the part about, this was really about economics.
Okay.
Because it's an essay, we did on the show, the one that you don't think is so great, but it's actually way better.
Just because I said the first show was better
I
does
know.
not mean I said the second show
You're
wasn't
so
great.
right. I'm acting like a wife.
You are.
who
You are
won't-
such a whiny bitch sometimes.
I'm usually not. You just hit a nerve. But you're right. I'm acting like a wife who will not let it go. And what about the remote? Matt,
And
you
you
never
say-
let me have the remote.
And you say you don't understand
I'm going to my mother's.
marriage.
All right. So this is about, it's about the gig economy, you know, the economy and what they also call it the remote economy. Okay. So you can call it remote work. What's really remote is any chance of getting health insurance. What are Uber and Lyft but Americanized rickshaws? It's not like it's what anyone wants to do. No one ever had a friend throw up in the back seat and said, gosh, I hope someday I get to make a career out of this. And then there's OnlyFans, which in 2021 swelled from 12 million to 85 million users. And if you're a little behind and don't know what OnlyFans is, don't worry. It's the side hustle your daughter is using to pay off her college debt. It's just a platform where you can share recipes or maybe your poetry. Yeah, you can do that on OnlyFans, but no one does. It's women showing their vaginas to men who are masturbating. That's what we have, a kind of a masturbation economy. And that's my question is, women have become so cynical about men and the economy is so bad for them that so much of this economy revolves around horny guys and women who are, I don't think they really want to be on OnlyFans doing that. Would you? No. But that's sort of where our economy has sent young women who, combined with the fact that they're, for very good reason, so cynical about men that their idea is kind of, look, men are shit, so I'm going to get paid a little bit to begin with. That's only fair. Now, here's the crux of it to me. Prostitution is a term we apply across the world. It doesn't just apply to sex. You can prostitute yourself in business, in politics, anything. It means doing something you hate for money. That's what it means. It didn't sound to me like the women you were with hated it. Just put it that way.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between sex for money and sex and money. And
There
if you
is.
start to blur that line, we're going to need a lot more fucking prisons in this country.
Right.
Now, but I want to make a point about what you just read, that passage, because I think there's something that supersedes the horniness economy. And I'm being serious about this, and it's the loneliness economy.
Yes.
I think that
You're
we
right.
are in a true epidemic of loneliness.
But they go together, horny and lonely.
But I think one is actually more powerful, and it's not the
You're
horny.
correct. There are many guys who just want the prostitute to talk to them or the stripper.
Yeah, so I have a friend who, she's a female creator on OnlyFans, and we were having lunch, and I was inquiring as to like what it's like what are these superficial relationships, and she described having multiple AI chatbots running at all times just to like interact with these people over text, and that was as economically productive as some of the on-camera activities. And I was amazed by that. And she ascribed it to the deep loneliness that these schmucks are feeling and the fact that it created that connection.
Don't call them schmucks. They're down on their luck enough.
Well,
don't
I don't
you feel
know, man.
some sympathy?
I think that we wallow in
You're
our
right.
own,
I agree.
expressions
You're
of
right.
sympathy. And so I'm just on the other side of it.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Incels is what you've heard that term?
Yeah,
it stands for involuntarily celibate, which what I used to just call I can't get laid. But my strategy wasn't to like join a club with other fucking losers who can't get laid. My strategy, like in college when I never got laid, was to masturbate and plot how I could get laid.
Yeah, but that would have to be before the masturbation because afterwards the brain cells wouldn't be all that firing.
I was a
you know what my strategy was?
Champion.
Go hang out with your friends who are out getting laid.
Right.
And then there's going to be somebody in the group that doesn't end up with one of them. And, you could be that second option.
So people want to know two basic things.
Okay.
One, was he ever with an underage girl?
No.
Okay. I know you said that, and if the Justice Department had any evidence, and again, there are people who are going to attack me. What are you doing? I'm not defending Matt Gaetz. I'm telling the truth as to what it is. And if you don't want to hear the truth, you're the hack. The Justice Department, this was Biden's Justice Department, declined. I can't believe Biden's Justice Department wouldn't have wanted to get you if there was something. So the fact that they said, we got nothing, tells me something, that they had nothing. Now, I don't know what anybody does behind closed doors. There's lots of scandals about lots of people, but I got to go with what.
No criminal. By the way,
So
also,
I put that aside.
okay.
Okay. Second thing they want to know is what he was doing considered prostitution. So that's what we're talking about now. And I couldn't agree with you more. Like the Beverly Hills housewife who really hates her husband now, but sticks around and fucks him a few times a year because she doesn't want to give up the big house. To me, that's much more prostitution. That is textbook doing something you hate just for the money. Same thing if he stays with her for the same reason, because he can't afford to get divorced. That's prostitution. But, okay, I wrote down the quote. There is this, okay. Well, first of all, you said giving someone money you're dating that they didn't ask for. That's prostitution now? So, yeah, okay, that's your exact quote. But there's this in a text. I guess this is from your girlfriend at the time, talking about you and your wingman. The guys are a little short this week. If it can be more of a customer appreciation week, Matt. Now, were there coupons involved? I just have to ask the tough questions. Were there coupons?
Bill,
Okay,
this is a text message I neither sent nor received. Another person is sending this message, presumably about me, to tell other women that they shouldn't ask for money. It sounds like the person who sent that message really wanted to be the great recipient of any generosity and didn't want her friends to also be the recipient of that generosity. You're telling me that makes me some sort of criminal? I didn't send this message. I didn't receive this message. I'm referenced in it because one woman is telling other women, "Hey, there's no generosity for you."
So the phrase "customer appreciation week," you never knew that before you saw it in this text? Okay, what about this one? Add to cart. No, I'm joking. It does not say that. Drive-by. There's something about something was just a drive-by. What's a drive-by?
Was that a message I sent?
I don't know. I was stoned when I wrote this. Okay, but there was also that said you met women on seeking arrangements.
No, actually,
and sugar dating.
Okay, so I have never had a dating profile on any website, on any dating app. When this came out,
why does it say that?
Well, it's false.
The story?
And by the way, the reason I can tell you it's false is when the media was reporting that I was meeting women on seeking arrangements, no less than Seeking Arrangements came out with a statement that said Matt Gaetz has never been on our site. He's never had a profile here. He has never met any women on our site. So if Seeking Arrangements themselves are saying this is false, I have to combat these things in the media that are not true. And nobody loses their reporter license for saying stuff that's false. It's just the information ecosystem.
Well, here's what I'm going to say to that. One, I never read that in the stories about you. What you just told me, which absolutely could be because they left it out because they do it all the time. It's one of my biggest complaints about the media is that I never, you say you're not lying. Well, you know what? You can also lie by omission. You cherry pick, both sides do it. I have to read both sides to feel like I have any knowledge of anything. And that just sucks, except for my show, which is always even-handed. Okay, so I didn't know that. So that's either because the media lied to me or somebody on the internet, if they're going to say that there's contradictory information, you're going to look bad, but I assume you wouldn't say that.
I'm willing to live by those terms.
If it couldn't be backed up. Okay. Also, this is in your defense. This is another thing from an article, again, I think, the Washington Post. The committee found 2 women, 27 and 25, who did not consider the relationships transactional. So that's a direct quote. Again, hacks. I'm just reading what I read. Did you read that one?
I did. Sounded scandalous. Me dating a 25-year-old woman and a 27-year-old woman and having a non-transactional relationship.
Look who you're talking to. You don't know the half of it. Okay, so this is an interesting quote. the committee, this is the ethics committee, okay, typically refrains from releasing the findings after a member's resignation. I did not know that until I read it in the article. The committee typically refrains from releasing the findings if you've quit already. So why did they make an exception for you? You must have bitterness about that.
Well, I don't actually, because I know
Oh,
in
come
Washington.
on, just
Bill,
admit that.
no, everything goes out in Washington anyway. If you
please.
think that this document wasn't going to be released in one form or the other, then you don't understand how the leak ecosystem works in that place. Everything leaks. So other people were more worked up about that than I was, to be honest. I have a lot of enemies on the Republican side, more so than most Republican members, because I killed the golden goose. Kevin McCarthy raised $1 billion in special interest money and distributed that among a couple hundred Republicans. That makes you a lot of fucking friends. And the Ethics Committee is one of only 3 committees in the whole Congress that the Speaker appoints directly. It doesn't go through the steering committee process. Ethics, Rules, and Intelligence. And so everybody on the Ethics Committee were Kevin McCarthy's asshole buddies, one of whom who voted to release it, the Republicans, was donating to my primary opponent. So I wasn't exactly being judged by some non-biased arbiter. These were people with an axe to grind against me.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
that's life.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like Kevin McCarthy. I really want to defend that guy. I mean, I always thought he was a huge asshole and not that bright.
Did you? You thought it? See, because I actually always found him to be a gregarious person.
I don't know. If he was here talking to me, I'd have a different opinion too.
I bet you'd like him.
Yeah, but I feel like he's much more of a square than you are.
Well, that would encompass a lot of people, I think.
Hey,
But where you get me wrong, man, where I took exception with you, and I was always a huge fan of yours, because when I got to you used to always have Joe Scarborough on, and Joe Scarborough
just had him on.
Was my congressman.
Yeah.
I was a huge Joe Scarborough fan. We were really close, even when I was 12, 14 years old. And so I would be able to stay up late at night and watch content that otherwise would have been deemed too irreverent for me because Joe Scarborough was on.
Sure.
And then that created a permission structure for me to continue to watch your show because, Joe has been on that show. It can't be too bad for me to watch. So he, was our guy for a long time.
I still like him. I mean, you guys went apeshit when he went to Mar-a-Lago 2 days after you.
I think that's great, by the way.
Yeah, of course you do, because look, I mean, the criticism was that he was kissing the ring. I think 2 days after the election was a little early. It did give that signal. Give it a week, Joe. Okay, but I like Joe. My problem with people who take media jobs is that, they start out, very, very often on MSNBC this happens, they start out as the conservative. Now, of course, on MSNBC, you can be only so conservative. They don't really have your type that wouldn't be on it. But they have the Nicole Wallaces and the people, Michael Steele, the people, they hate Trump.
It's the country club conservatives, not the hunting club conservatives.
It's the anybody but Trump conservatives, right? Which does not look. I'm an anybody but Trump guy too, but it doesn't represent the country or the party, so it's bullshit. But okay, so they start out as that, but they're also conservative. Nicole Wallace was Bush's
she was out there, cheerleading the Iraq War.
Right. And the longer they're there and the more time they see MSNBC on the paycheck, the more they become not just anti-Trump, but now they're just totally in league with, and I said, look, I don't want people to become more conservative generally, but when looks to me like the paycheck is dictating your politics, I do have a problem with
they're enslaved by their audience because they see what
everybody is,
what turns off their audience, what turns on their audience, and that becomes the thing that turns them on as well. But even when we say conservative, liberal, right, left, we are in a time of realignment right now. I think unlike any other time you've been in the media. Who is the pro-war party? Who is the pro-free speech party?
Yeah.
Who is the pro-free trade party?
Who's the stick-up-their-ass party?
Right.
That's the biggest one in my world.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that used to get laughs because it was the moral majority doing it, stick up their ass stuff.
Yeah.
Pat Robertson,
Oh,
who's the other, Jerry Falwell.
this was your
all those
thing.
purple Teletubbies, are gay.
Well, the Clinton thing.
And then who became the stick up their ass people?
Yeah, the left.
The left.
Well, and I mean, you're who taught me about oral sex, because
You're welcome.
the Clinton.
You're welcome, Mrs. Gaetz.
The whole Clinton Ken Starr report really put your critique of the stick in the mud, stick up your ass, contingent of politics in the forefront. But like right now, there are times I see the political landscape where I have more in common with the populist leftists than I do the centrists in my own party. On matters of like government surveillance.
Right.
I team up with Ilhan Omar more than I team up with the Republicans on the Intelligence Committee. On war powers.
You're talking about Elon Omar?
Ilhan Omar, yeah.
Oh, you said it funny.
Well, you'd be surprised how often.
Elon Omar.
Ilhan.
I don't like her. Oh, is that how, am I saying it wrong?
Yeah, it's Ilhan.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry, and sorry to the prophet. Peace and blessings upon him. I meant no disrespect. Whew, that's getting out of hand.
Yeah,
that
I would
shit.
probably cut that. But I think, I don't know where that's going to lead you, bro, but could be dicey.
No, I mean, I've been down that road before.
Do you,
I have.
It was your big
You
thing?
have to be, I mean, Zuckerberg just made a big deal about free speech, and I'm behind him on it because I think he's right. He's doing a kind of a mea culpa, like we fact check too much. And look, is there a lot of misinformation? Yeah, but also misinformation has become like a code word for just stuff we don't like. COVID started in a lab. Well, we just don't think that should be out there. So that's well, it wasn't misinformation. Shit like that. Not to have to tell
and the
you.
stuff that's true, when people were posting the true side effects of some of these vaccines, you had folks in the White House pressuring social media platforms to get that taken down. And it wasn't even false, but it was just derogatory to the narrative that they were trying to spin at the time. That should not be allowed. And I think the more you decentralize that away from the fact checker model to the community notes model, the more you make it durable to that type of government influence.
Yeah. So if you were in the Justice Department, like what would be your number one?
Number one,
Yeah, what would
be defang the weaponization. Stop the whole they go after us. I really mean that. Because if I'd have gone in there and done that stuff.
You really
like
think the FBI is that partisan? Because I always thought of the FBI as mostly Republicans, mostly squares, guys who iron their underwear, real straight arrows. The idea that it's infiltrated with all these like super radical left-wing types who are out to get Trump, you don't think they had a reason with all the communications that were unprecedented between Trump and Russia? You don't think they had a reason to start that Operation Crossfire investigation? I mean, his fucking campaign manager, Manafort, was completely in bed with the Russians. Michael Flynn and the combat, all these people in the administration who had all these discussions with Russians, and then just always Russians. We don't know any Russians. They picture him with like 8 Russians.
It sort of feels silly to talk about.
It at least merited an investigation.
It feels silly to talk about now that like Trump was some asset of Putin when it was only Trump in the White House where Putin did invade another country. But in terms of when,
that's a good point.
The investigation turned illegitimate, like, okay, I guess you have reasonable suspicion around anything. But once they were applying for surveillance based on information that the FBI already knew was coming from Russian intelligence subsources, that's when they jumped the shark for me. They were signing FISA renewals when they knew that Steele was relying on people who were Russian intelligence people.
There was a report. Was that the Horowitz report or was that the Durham report?
That was Horowitz.
Okay, one of them was about the FBI, and it did find errors. Yes, it did. Absolutely. No.
And doesn't it bother you when an FBI lawyer is pledging fidelity to the resistance while changing an email?
That doesn't mean that there wasn't something there also. I mean, to go back to politically incorrect days, O.J. Simpson did kill his ex-wife, and the police were also corrupt. Sometimes
But
both
do you think
things can
do you
be
think they
true.
framed him? Like, do you think they
OJ?
yeah, they took active steps to frame him?
No, I don't. That's
Me
what
either.
I'm saying. I'm saying
They had their own problems, admittedly, at
yes, and
LAPD.
that's the analogy with the FBI. There were problems, and the FISA thing was the most glaring of those errors. But
You realize when Horowitz
also
looked
he
into
was
that,
having contacts. Just to say publicly, Russia, if you're listening, I mean, nobody ever did that. George Stephanopoulos said, you know, if a foreign power sent you intel, oh, well, I think you should look at it. No, you shouldn't. You should go to the FBI and say, a country who is not called America is trying to influence our elections. That's what you do. You go to the FBI. You don't look at it.
you know what? That would be nice. But Bill, as everything else in our world has become globalized, trade, information, our elections have become globalized too. And the notion that the way we're going to be resilient to that is tattling to the FBI every time, it may work. But when I see the way these global corporations that rely on sovereign wealth funds of other countries are pouring cash into super funds, for Democrats and Republicans, it's like, but Don Jr. met with some lady in Trump Tower. There is such a foreign influence factor in our elections now. It's such a high level. I don't know that there's anything
Especially
that's
on
stop
your
it.
side.
Oh, come on, man. You don't think that the Chinese were funding the whole Penn Center at the Biden Center at Penn?
Manafort was trading polling information with a guy in the GRU. And then the Democrats didn't do that.
Paul Manafort, despite a lofty title, was a very bit player in what was going on with Trump. You know why I know?
How do you know that?
Because he had one specific task. We were dealing with a faithless electors problem at the Republican convention, where we would win a state, and then Ted Cruz was effective at using the party apparatus to substitute his delegates for Trump's delegates. And it wasn't like we'd had a recent convention fight. And one of the only guys around from the 80s that had ever planned for a convention fight was Paul Manafort. So he demands this lofty title, then he works the convention problem, and at the same time is trying to showcase to the oligarchs on whatever side, in Russia, Ukraine, that he was this made guy in Trump world. And that was messy and should not have happened. But I think, talk about whataboutism, to say that that's a parallel to the tens of millions of dollars that flow into our elections from foreign sovereign wealth funds through U.S. companies and super PACs.
Yeah, that's both sides.
It is both sides.
Based on a ruling from a Republican Supreme Court.
I think the ruling in Citizens United was wrong.
Well, great to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad.
You don't smoke pot anymore, right?
I won't with you. It would mess with like all the Molly I took on the way here.
Weren't you one of the most forthright ones to want to put forward legalization for pot laws?
I'm very pro marijuana reform. I wrote Florida's first, second, and third marijuana laws.
It just failed there.
Well, the vote on going from medical to adult use. Now in Florida, you have to go.
It was on the ballot. It
didn't fail.
How could fucking nutty, crazy, bath salt, alligator,
don't with the Florida trash
not be illegal for pot?
Well, we don't allow the homeless to degrade infrastructure to the point where it hurts the firefighters.
Different issue.
Different issue.
And the liberals have completely fucked up that issue. It's in my brilliant special that's on probably now or just was. Is anybody else seeing this? I talk about it, liberal versus woke as far as homeless goes. No, I mean, trust me, the liberals have a lot to answer for, and I call them out on all of it, which again is why they don't like me, and I don't give a fuck.
You talk a lot. You know what? I wonder if you give a fuck because you talk about it a lot.
I do.
You advertise how much it affects you by talking about it.
No.
Because I don't even view you I view you as a libertarian.
No, all I'm doing is reminding people of my brand. My brand is almost unique, not completely, but like I'm glad that everybody is like so in their echo chamber because it leaves this big space in the middle for someone who will do that. People will watch this. If they watch the whole thing, they'll go, wow, what an honest conversation. Like not like anyone I've ever seen with any politician. Like that's with just two guys talking. And Bill was open. he didn't fucking hate that guy, except after he
You
said
might.
it, but it wasn't about
It doesn't
politics.
even bother me if
And
you
then
do.
we got over it, just like a married couple does. And then we
And
just
then
had
you kept nagging me
a
about it,
real
just like a
discussion.
married couple
And when
does.
I think you're full of shit about stuff on your side, I call you out on that. And I'm also admitting, and I hope you are, I think I do it more than you, when my side is wrong, and they are wrong a lot, and that's why they lost this election, and I tell them every day, you're just digging the hole deeper.
Anybody who can't point out where their side is wrong is just a vessel through which others
Well,
operate.
where's your side most wrong?
My side's wrong on marijuana reform. My side is wrong on some elements of climate change. My side is wrong when they try to extend the surveillance state at any cost. My side is wrong when they try to go and build Jeffersonian democracies out of sand and blood and Arab militias in the Middle East and convert every Central Asian cave into.
I got to give that to Trump.
Yeah.
He really doesn't like war.
No, he
and
really
that's not
doesn't.
a bad thing. It's ironic. Like, who was the last president who really didn't like war? Jimmy Carter, the one they just buried.
Mm.
He never fired a shot. It's funny that they have that in common, isn't it?
It is. And
two guys who have nothing else in common.
And it's not that Trump doesn't have militaristic tendencies. Like, I don't think he has any
Greenland.
problem with torture or a really powerful, strong military. But right now, like, one of the reasons we should be anti-war is because I'm not sure we would win very many of them. And that's not a criticism of the amazing men and women in the military, but the shit we build doesn't work. I was on the Armed Services Committee for 8 years, and I saw the way what we spend money on is driven by what general is leaving to get what board seat or what contract with Raytheon, Lockheed, L3. We've allowed all this consolidation in the defense. Okay, the F-35. The F-35.
I loved it when Musk went after the F-35. I had said on my show 2 days earlier, I said, they're talking about cutting shit. Let's see what happens when they go after the Pentagon. And then he did it 2 days later. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not pre-hating anything you guys are going to do. Not pre-hating.
Well, and Hegseth is uniquely critical of those things because these millennials who went and fought these wars and believed they were righteous and meaningful, who came more to the anti-war side, like Tucker was a big pro-war guy, came to an anti-war guy.
He's
Hegseth,
just cray now. Come on.
Oh, come on.
Come on, bro. Come on, the Moscow stuff, defending Syria, defending Assad. I mean, you got to be kidding.
Well,
but Hegseth, he looks like he's having a good time. Let's get him over here.
He'd be a good hang. But
I bet he would.
But
what?
Don't get me started on the accusations against Hegseth because they are so ridiculous. But I want to get back to the point about the military.
He seems
spending.
like a guy who does not know how to treat women.
Bill, you're telling me
treat him nice. You take him to Broadway shows.
You're telling me
you do the and money thing, which is great.
Some lonely housewife fucks Pete Hegseth in a hotel, then has to explain something to her husband the next day, alleges rape. I can't on that. But back to the military spending. The F-35 costs $100 million a copy.
Oh.
You know what percentage of them are fully operationally capable today? 29%.
They don't work in the rain.
If something costs $100 million, it should definitely work more than 29% of the time.
But also the great thing Musk said was they're obsolete. We're in the age of drones, assholes. We're in the age of drones. Why are you building fighter planes? If you guys can go in and really do that kind of shit, and like wherever this country is really constipated, just roto-rooter this kind of shit away, I will have great respect for it.
I hope we achieve that. When I was sitting around Mar-a-Lago with Elon talking about how we were going to do that.
Name dropper.
Elon says the way that we save the military and win the future wars is by designing a mechanism to get drone operators laid. Because the whole culture of the Air Force is the like fighter pilot, macho, the Navy Top Gun. And so like if you had that same archetype for the 240-pound guy who like lives in his mom's basement but knows how to operate a drone, if we can get that guy some pussy, we are gonna smoke China.
Okay, well, we've got the OnlyFans situation. I feel there's
the loneliness situation.
I feel like there's a way to combine the OnlyFans ladies with the drone operators and make this happen, because there's really nothing more pathetic
for America.
I mean, I'm not a technological guy, so like I wouldn't even know how to get on OnlyFans. I mean, I don't really know how to get on. I don't have ChatGPT. I'm just of a
Really? You don't
different.
use AI?
No, I'm just not. I'm just of a different generation. Okay, I'm old school. Like pad and pen. Sorry, that's who I am. But what I've read about OnlyFans is just, it's like I can't believe what I'm reading. That these guys must know that this girl is not really their girlfriend and doesn't really give a shit about them, and very often isn't even that girl. It's some fat guy in the Philippines who
Some
is,
chatbot that's running.
well, they call them chatters.
Yeah.
Like that's the person who's communicating. The fact that they willingly convince themselves that this is some sort of actual relationship where they're like tipping them by the minute, another 5 minutes, and it
Just for the chat sometimes.
and of course you're not there in the room with them. It's not you're not fucking them in any way.
They're
And
fucking you in
they're
the wallet.
the fact that so many millions of men are satisfied that this is some sort of actual relationship. This generation, somebody told me a scary story about, she was telling me about her younger sister who's like 17 and has a boyfriend for the first time, and they were like, "Oh, bring him over for dinner." No, the kids just want to be on the phone together all the time, FaceTiming. And when the girl goes to sleep at night, she leaves the phone on, FaceTime all night, and so does the boyfriend, and they're sleeping together virtually with the phone on all night. And I said, "Do you have to pay for this?" And she said, they made a big mistake when they gave these kids unlimited
Oh,
data.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because that shit wouldn't have flown in my day because your parents would have been like, you are on your
But
roaming minutes.
you have kids yet?
I've got sort of an adopted son. We
Oh
don't have
yeah,
children
okay.
of our own.
How old?
Right now, he's 24,
Okay, so he's a little
23 years old.
little past this.
Yeah.
But what do you make of a generation that is doing that can't even turn off the phone when they go to sleep?
I think it's worse than that. I've been reading the literature on the people who get the AI boyfriend or girlfriend that they know is AI, that they know is not an actual human. And they did these studies, and when you allow the person to interact with that bot and then you cut off the bot, they have sincere feelings of remorse over a breakup with a being that never existed. It's like Manti
I
Te'o
mean,
shit.
it's not that different than OnlyFans, where the girl isn't really there. But you're right.
That's a great point, actually.
It is one small level past.
Right.
But it's basically
Are we getting that though? Aren't there going to be the AI relationships that
I don't know.
define human romance?
I'm so glad I'm in the generation I'm in. Really, even being almost 69 years old, which obviously has its bad parts, like you're not going to be around this long, I still would not trade it. I mean, sure wouldn't want to be what these kids are going through. I mean, and their sort of virtual existence.
So like when my generation, you met people.
You're Gen X or you're millennial?
I'm like the first millennial. I'm not Zennial. You typically met people at bars. But this generation doesn't even really drink that much.
Even when they're at bars, they're on their phone.
Yes. You couldn't spend that much time on your phone because you were having to hit, the button 3 times to get to the right letter to send a message. But where did your generation, where did you typically go to meet a romantic partner? What was that typical hunting experience for you?
Okay. Well, I mean, I was just so bereft of
Here?
knowledge. I would love it if it was here. I mean, no, I mean, I was a late bloomer. I mean, it's really good I never got married because, like, I needed time to catch up to what a loser I was when I had one girlfriend in high school, and when she dumped me, it was like the worst thing that still in my life ever happened. I was like a wreck for a year. And then
What'd
so
she break up with you over? Was it another guy?
no, I was just being a dick. I was just being complacent. You know what it was? I got bored,
Oh.
like we all will do to a certain degree at all times, and it's just how you handle it. And I handled it because it was the first time like a dick. So then I went to Cornell, which it was like the worst possible atmosphere to ever try to get laid. It was like the Ivy Leagues had just started even admitting girls, so it's like a 5-to-1 ratio, and I didn't know how to get laid. So it was just
And it's not like the Cornell atmosphere had a whole lot else going on in the town you could go tap into.
Cornell's a shit place to go to school anyway. You get a great education, but it's cold and competitive. It's just a bad vibe up there. It really is. I never went back. Um, so that was terrible. Then when I finally got out, then I went and moved to New York City, and being poor and a pot dealer trying to be a comedian, also not a great formula to get laid in New
Or
York.
being a drug dealer wasn't a good formula to get laid.
Not pot, or like I was selling small amounts to like guys at the club and the band. But when I came out here at 27, it was like, oh, I always say this town sucked my cock on the first date. I just loved it from the beginning, and I got along better with the girls, and I had a little game, and then I just, yeah, you would go to bars. That's what it was, and I was still such a loser.
Yeah.
I remember I had a friend who I didn't really like that much, but he was good at talking to girls. That's really like one of the key signs of a loser. You got to have a guy, a wingman. Oh, I was going to mention this guy, Joel Greenberg. I'm very curious. He comes up in the articles, and I saw Megyn Kelly talking about him. Again, I had not heard this because, again, you only get one half of the story. First of all, what was your relationship with him? He sounds like you guys are asshole buddies.
It was someone I deeply regret having spent any time with, but he was in politics in Central Florida. He became a social acquaintance of mine, and he had a vision on crypto, and he had a vision on all these different things. He was the tax collector. He became the first tax collector in the country to take crypto. So I was sort of enamored with the cutting edge nature of how he was going about things. And what I sort of learned through this is
And he's
if you're
in jail.
around,
Let's just
yeah,
set
he's
this
in
up.
jail. He's in jail, and before anything
But-
would be, one of the things he's in jail for is lying about another person about having sexual contact with someone who was underage. But what I learned is if you're around people and they're doing stuff, and even if you're not doing that stuff, if you're the most famous person or you're the most powerful person, if shit breaks bad, then everybody's going to point the finger at you, and that's what happened with Joel Greenberg. By the way, if the way I go down is drinking with Bill Maher at Club Random, I'm comfortable with that. Ginger,
Well,
if you can hear this, you
well,
should go.
Well, you just made up for that gaffe at the beginning. That's a very sweet thing to say. I appreciate it. No,
You're one of these not boomer. You're Gen
yeah, I'm
X,
a
right?
boomer.
You're a boomer.
Gen X. Oh, thank you. That is so
Well,
kind
okay.
of you. No, I'm
There-
totally.
There's
boomer.
a whole echelon of you guys who became cult heroes to my generation. It was like you, Lewis Black, Norm Macdonald, rest his soul, one of the funniest people to ever live.
Yeah.
It was the calling out of the mores of the time that developed a really
Oh,
like sincere following.
yeah. No, I love it when I have fans in every generation, but especially as it gets younger, because
Is it your liberal fans are older and your conservative fans are younger? Would be my guess.
Yeah, probably. I know, I never looked into it that much, but that's probably what it is. But I also, I hear a lot about, the guys on the golf course love you because, again, I never have been afraid to like speak truth about what's going on the left. And what's going on the left, I get it. I do not like Trump, but I never hate anybody who votes for him. I totally get it. I get why people go.
Would you agree that the two greatest politicians? Well, Clinton might have fit in there, but Obama and Trump had
absolutely.
right. And I do
As
believe,
a politician,
yeah,
he's non-pariah. But so is Hitler. As a politician, I'm not saying he's Hitler. He's not.
well, you're also not saying Obama's Hitler. You're making a point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Trump, let me just be clear because this is a thing that people do say. Trump is not Hitler. Hitler fought the Russians. Okay. I'm thinking now that maybe your days as a party animal connected you more with who the American people really are.
By the way,
Is that a fair statement?
Look,
Because
I was
the
never
American-
a holier than thou politician. I never.
Well, we know that.
Yeah, but you know what? Some people who had personal foibles and follies would then go and be in great moral judgment of others. And for whatever problems I've had in my life, I've never tried to represent that I'm a better person than my constituents.
Yeah, no,
I just try to be a vessel
I'm saying
for them, for
I
their
think you're more.
goals.
I think you're more like them. I mean, I don't consider you. I mean, especially having talked to you now, like there are some dirtbags in your party. I mean, George Santos, give me a break. I mean,
Oh, George.
what?
Every generation gets the Princess Diana they deserved, and ours was George Santos, taken from us too
Okay,
early.
well, that's not really a good analogy. Princess
You
Diana.
laughed.
Well, Princess Diana was she a charlatan?
No,
Okay.
it's a joke.
I
Bill.
am a very
God,
funny one too. Okay, so but then like who? Lauren Boebert. I mean,
she's a patriot. Lauren Boebert's terrific.
okay, but she gives hand jobs during musicals.
So what?
I agree.
So you're
You were
against hand jobs now?
You were taking girls to musicals.
Well, none that I had give me hand jobs, but not entirely
that's
sure
what
I
they
would have
said.
turned one down.
That's what they said. And my joke was like, they said, well, Matt Gaetz, he took prostitutes to musicals. I'm like, really? If you're taking a girl to a musical, isn't that payment in itself?
Well, but by the way, think about how fantastical that sounds. That I was bringing prostitutes to Broadway shows. They were my dates.
Right.
It's
I'm saying that is not see. I don't think people know what a prostitute is. A prostitute is someone, first of all, who has a pimp, okay, who gets hit with a car antenna, who gives blowjobs behind dumpsters. That's a prostitute. And of course, there's high end, but they don't get taken to Broadway shows. Was my point.
Well, let me offer a defense of some of the people that you've criticized. I serve with a lot of congressmen and women who live perfect family lives. Never looked the other way. Never done anything other than live a purpose-driven, holy life. And they get that congressional pin on, and they go and sell out the country. And they vote for whoever gives them money, and they vote for whatever lobbyists give them attention. And then there are people who are flawed and irreverent and have tough moments that are caught on TV, but they sincerely do what they think is best for the country. And that's why I had friendships in Congress that a lot of people wouldn't realize. I was friends with Ilhan Omar. She
Really?
and her husband and my wife and I have had dinner together and spent
Really?
social time
I
together.
would not have guessed that.
Right. And you know why? Because while I disagree with her strongly on matters of policy, and she would say the same of me,
Right.
I at least knew she fucking believed it. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And say what you want about AOC, she believes what she says. And for like way more than half of them up there, they don't even believe what they're saying. They are just reading scripts that are written, produced by others. And I resent that more than a substantive disagreement.
I do too. Well, it's been a pleasure. Before I evacuate, to talk to you.
I sincerely
it
hope
really
that-
has.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure.
one more beef, man. I had. You've called me a bully more than once on your show.
No, I think what we did was we showed you a picture of you and said he always looks like he has a look on his face like "Eat it, nerd."
Yeah, but I am the nerd.
No, but
I
you
went to
look
debate
different.
camp.
First of all, you look different in person.
More like a nerd?
No
in
less.
person?
More normal.
Yeah. Well, that always bothered me about your coverage of me
I
because
mean, like you've seen the way they do you on Saturday Night Live.
I know.
That's what they think you look like. That's not what you look like to me right now, looking at you in person. Maybe
Oh.
it is on TV, or people just present differently on TV sometimes. But,
I'm a weird looking guy. I don't know
but you're
what to say.
not.
Oh.
That's the thing. You're not. But I was expecting one. Really.
The Molly must be kicking in right now.
All right. Well, thank you for coming here. And,
I appreciate it. We should do real time.
I would love to. Would you do it?
Yeah, if
Would you do a panel?
I got no fear of your panel or your audience,
No,
but
Sit there.
sometime you got to do my podcast too. If you,
I will.
All right, I
No.
got a podcast coming up,
All
and
right.
would love.
Wow. You look different in person.
Oh, yeah? Is that good or bad?
You look younger.
Oh, I'd say that's good then. Thank you. And so do you.
How old are you now?
55.
Come on. Really?
I am.
You know,
yes.
it's depressing that, like, I was born in the 50s, kid in the 60s. I can take the 60s, 70s being like ancient history, but the 90s, kids
Oh, to kids,
who were
especially
born after or in.
younger kids, they're like, you mean in the 1900s?
How old are your kids?
They range from 31 to 15. and then a bunch of 20-somethings in between.
How many in this litter?
Yeah.
You
5
have,
boys.
You have 6 kids.
5 boys, yeah, between my wife and I, yeah.
What, from one woman?
No.
That would be a lot to ask of one woman.
Yes.
You know, birth's got to be a bitch, right?
It looks very traumatizing. Yes.
They say a man, you know, that old cliche, a man could never undergo the pain of a woman giving birth. So that's what I have to say to women. Come on, man.
It looks like they have an out-of-body experience.
Have giving birth?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, at least giving, see, like if you're being tortured, I mean, like what? Like, you know, men get tortured.
Sure.
Like, women do too, but I mean, like, probably more men because they're serving more in the military. Not that women don't, but certainly in the time when they were getting captured. So if you're giving birth, it's painful, but it's a positive experience. You're giving life.
Sure. I don't see a lot of people comparing those two specifically, though, childbirth and torture. So,
well,
I think
it begs it because if you're going to defend the idea that there's nothing more painful than childbirth, then I'm going to throw in torture.
I see. Okay, we're just going all the way to the extreme. I understand.
Well, I mean, if you're saying it's the most, then I got to go to. You know, how else do I argue that? Am I wrong?
I don't. Well, I don't know if you're wrong, but I just think that's an extreme scenario. So, but I'm not apples to oranges. I mean, you know, pain is pain.
Pain is pain, and I'm sure you've had a lot of it.
I've had enough. I actually was telling someone just now. I've had just enough to keep me in check, but not make me quit what I do.
Well, but you're not still doing what you did when you were 25.
Not on that level, but I'm still doing it to a certain degree. Yes.
To a degree that could.
Yeah, most people would consider it reckless. Yeah.
So you're like the Mike Tyson of.
Maybe.
Your sport.
How old is he now?
60, and he's fighting again.
Yeah. Well, so at least I got a few more good years.
But are you in competition at 50?
No. I mean, sometimes they have a legends category of competition.
Right.
And I get into those once in a while. But honestly, there's so many outlets now in terms of if you are a pro skater, you are a pro skater. You have social media, you have all these other ways to be out there.
Sure.
That you don't have to compete anymore.
But
in my day, you had to compete to get recognized or get any sort of success.
Also, competition is your drug.
I would say it was
all elite athletes.
It was my incentive for sure, but my big directive all through the years was just learning new tricks. And so the competition was incidental to that. In fact, sometimes that got in the way of progression to me because I had to skate in this sort of conservative way to compete. Couldn't take many chances.
Interesting.
And then when the competition was over, I was on the ramp the next day trying to learn tricks.
So when did that change, when they recognized instead of squelched what you were good at?
That's a good question. I mean, I got a lot of flack through the years just because my style was weird. I was mostly focused on tricks, and so I didn't look like I was flowing. I didn't have a lot of height because I was small. I think it was probably, honestly, not until maybe my second decade of skating that I got more respect for my skills, yeah.
But I mean, as someone who's not a great follower of it, like, you're the name I know. From my view, from as not one of those on the inside, it was like, it wouldn't take me 2 seconds if it was a word association.
Okay.
And they said your name or skateboarding.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I don't think that's the majority of the country.
I think that stems also from our video game success. A lot of that, especially in terms of non-skaters.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was more that you were this innovator of a way of doing it that leveled it up, that took it to a different level.
I'm honored if that's the narrative.
Am I wrong?
I definitely created a different way of doing it, mostly out of desperation, because I was so small that I couldn't figure out how to do the aerial maneuvers that I saw these bigger kids doing, like these men doing. And I created a technique of doing it that required less less strength, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then
Sure.
that allowed me to finally get airborne like I wanted to, and that became the sort of standardized way to do it going forward.
I'm just saying that sometimes somebody, it's rare, but somebody in a sport will do something and it makes the sport a different, it takes it to a different kind of place. I mean, Babe Ruth is the great example because, I mean, before that, you know, nobody hit a lot of home runs. It was a rare thing. That's not how you scored. I think one year Ty Cobb led the league with 9.
Right.
It was more like a triple. And then he, you know, bombed, you know, 59 and 60. That was, you know, and just
You
changed.
figured out a way to do it without running the bases.
Yeah, when I see the footage of him, he's not as fat as they make it in. But I mean,
I wasn't saying. I'm just saying, like, it was just.
No, but
it
he
was
was
just,
fat.
But in his eyes, it was like, well, this is the way I get a score.
But it just shows you it's not always about the body.
Right.
I mean, that was a bad body. That was like a dad bod plus. You know,
Dad bod. Yeah.
and he was drunk. You know, I mean, this guy could eat a home run drunk eating a pork chop.
Yeah.
He probably did several times, sometimes with one hand. And I mean, he was a badass.
He was fascinating.
And
I thought that movie was good too.
which movie?
John Goodman.
John Goodman. That's right. I remember that. He was perfect to play him.
He was. Yeah. Well, cheers. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Although there are people, and I may be one of them, who think Babe Ruth very well may be at least half black. If you look at him, his features, it's just not out of the question that the greatest player in the sport that worked desperately hard to keep the black people out of the sport was himself. It could be. I don't know. But his background is a little murky.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
orphanage.
Right.
But that would make him even more of a towering figure. Like it would be like if they knew that Jack Johnson, who was also like an amazing badass, Jackie Robinson. Of course. I mean, your sport is not like diversity crazy, is it?
Oh, it is. Yeah,
It is?
absolutely. Yeah.
So who are the best people now? Who are the?
Oh, so many. Wow.
Like-
Some of the best skaters from Japan.
You keep up with the kids, the younger kids. You talk to them. You mentor them. You're like, they must
if
see
they
you
want
as
my help, I don't actively seek it. I don't want to impose anything on them. But if they ask me any advice, I'm happy to give it. My style of skating is more the half pipe, the ramp kind of skating, whereas the more popular discipline of skating is street, which is just out in the wild,
Right.
skating the rails and the ledges and I did a little bit of that, but at some point I realized I'm not moving the needle doing this, and my ankles hurt from doing it so much.
They do.
And I like flying, so I just went back to skating the ramps,
So
and that's
do you
kind
have
of where
injuries
I remain.
now that you still are dealing with from?
Yeah, I would say the biggest one, the most chronic one is my neck, because I just had so many whiplashes through my life. But I actually got stem cells a couple months ago for my neck,
Wow.
and I am just now feeling the positive effects of it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
But even after the first time that happened, it didn't deter you from.
No, I mean, the first time I got hurt, I was 11. I got concussion, knocked out my front teeth, and I literally woke up in the ambulance, and my first thought was not, oh my God, what have I done? My first thought was, why did I fall on that trick, and how can I do it better? And I think that was probably a defining moment in my career.
What do you attribute this inordinate amount of drive and ambition and
Stubbornness.
Really?
More obsessive, yeah. I mean, it definitely determined. My mom used to always say I was determined. That was her way of speaking nicely when her friends were like, "Your son's a terror."
And your kids take after you?
In various ways, yeah. Yeah.
They have the same kind of drive?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. In different ways, for sure. I would say a couple of them, maybe more than me, and against their own health, against their own well-being. And then others are very talented, but not as eager to push the limits. And then some kind of, my oldest son is a pro skater.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Most people who talk to me about their kids are always complaining that they're too woke and they drive them crazy with their... Is that, you find that problem with your kids? You find them to be always...
No, I mean,
correcting you
I've definitely seen the shift of attitudes and the generation, because we do have varying ages, and I see how even my oldest is more steeped in this attitude or whatever from his early days in the 90s and the 2000s, and then the younger ones are definitely more aware of everything else and pronouns and things like that. So I feel like we see the full spectrum of it, and my wife and I are pretty loose. We just roll with it. We're not trying to impose any sort of values in that way on them.
No, it's them trying to impose it on you.
They don't for us, no.
They don't.
No.
They don't try to shame you, like.
No, but but like I said, we're I would say we're more understanding in that way. We're not, because my wife and I both had, we had parents. My dad was in World War II.
Mine too.
Yeah, and so he was much older when I was born. But he and my mom, children of the Depression, they were just, this is how it is.
That's right.
Yeah. So I tried to be a little more
Right.
open-minded than that.
There's got to be a middle ground.
I believe so, yes.
I mean, what they call it gentle parenting.
Yeah, we're not that.
It's
I will tell you, we're not that. We're children of the 70s. We're not gentle parenting. Yeah.
right,
At some point, you got to hear hard no's.
right, but no corporal punishment.
No.
Never hit a kid?
No.
Were you hit as a kid?
I was not. No.
Never was spanked?
No.
Really?
I think my dad had a pretty abusive background, and he was very
Oh.
adamant to not keep that going, that cycle.
Maybe that's why you want so much pain now. You missed it in childhood. Well,
I had plenty in my childhood. I mean, I started skating at age 10.
I
so,
got spanked.
yeah,
Not often,
right.
but it was like the nuclear option.
right.
Which that to me is the correct policy for corporal punishment. Of course, you put it in the hands of sadists and stupid people and drunks
Sure.
and drug addicts, but that's true of everything with a child. If a child is living with a psycho of some kind, it's going to be horrible, and it's probably going to manifest in some sort of physical violence as well, and that's horrible. But that doesn't mean you need to proscribe this for the majority of people who. Kids are little fucking monsters. They're feral. You have to educate them to be decent humans. It's not innate.
No, you definitely, yeah. But you can teach them to make good choices, I think, without physically abusing them. I think that
I don't
what
think
you're
it's
saying,
abusing them.
but I understand what you're saying.
Spanking is not an abuse of it.
But I think your experience or whatever is more of an exception to the rule when you think about people who are regularly spanking or hitting their kids.
Not in my generation.
No.
In my generation, everybody got spanked. In fact, I mean, it's hysterical.
I did actually. I got hit in school once.
Oh, and then there were the nuns.
I wasn't going to Catholic school, but
yeah, no, I got hit with a ruler by nuns.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't go to. I
got hit with the equivalent of a phone book.
Catechism, and they had a ruler. That I guess it was just why you would carry a ruler. I think only for that purpose. We weren't measuring things.
Right.
We weren't measuring.
Yeah, it was definitely the whipping stick.
The whipping stick.
Yep.
And it was on the knuckles.
Yep.
And it smarted, and I don't think that's the worst thing to do to a kid. And look, I mean,
It smarted. That was the perfect generational term for that.
Absolutely did. Oh, that's smart. And that's why the kids today have no smarts. Good night, everyone. But it is. I do think it's connected. I think kids need boundaries. They need discipline. They're not getting it. That's why they've gone insane.
Well, okay, but having a lot of kids and you have none, I think it's easier for you to generalize that.
Well, I mean, we can look at it two ways. You're too close to it, and I'm too far to it. You see
Sure.
your kids, and when people look at their own kids, it's very hard for them to see flaws. Their kids are.
Oh, I'm not saying they're not flawed. No way did I say that, and I never would, nor would they. I mean,
right, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, parents, it's hard to be objective about your own kids. So maybe I'm sure you're right. You're not in this category, but lots of parents, and this is one of the big problems with parenting and all the problems it causes down the road for all of us in society, is that parents don't give their kids boundaries. They don't.
Say no. They
don't
rarely
say
say
no.
no.
Exactly.
And I agree with you there.
They take the path of least resistance.
And also just the idea that you have to complement everything
right
for jobs that are expected.
Oh,
that's the rub for
and
me.
then you know what the result of that is like you grow up like that, and I see it in society. Like people now, that the younger two generations expect to be complimented for just ordinary things. I got this this exercise machine. I wouldn't say the company, but and it comes with an app on your phone,
Yeah.
and you connect that to the TV, and then you basically there's a trainer on there, many programs, and I did this for a few months. I just couldn't take it anymore because the trainers, it's not what they're telling me to do, it's that every 5 seconds they have to tell me
Doing great. Killing it.
You're a warrior.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up and tell me what to pick up next.
I mean, I want to say
just,
that was part of, my dad was very rare with compliments. And so when I was doing, skating and stuff, it wasn't that I was doing it to impress him, but definitely there was a part of me that was like,
absolutely. I remember my father once looking at my report card, and it was like all A's except like one B.
right.
And he which was in like science or something, and he just went, had some tough tests in science this term.
Yeah.
Like a little dig.
I know. Yeah.
And it's like just enough to make me want to get his approval even more
Right.
next time, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world. Because I probably did do better next time. I mean,
we could have used a little encouragement.
absolutely. No, I mean, that generation, which apparently is both our parents' generation, the World War II generation, the Depression and the war. I mean, these motherfuckers were hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yep.
These kids, they think don't even know the meaning of it. Hard. They were hardened by.
Yeah. I mean,
by
my mom
poverty
is trying to
and
raise 4 kids. She's working.
Oh.
My dad is in the Navy. It was definitely not easy. I've recently found something she wrote. She passed away, but where she was talking about her life. She's like, my life was generally good. We could have used a little more money in the coffer.
It's one thing that nobody in the first half of the 1940s ever said to each other. What are you doing these days?
Yeah, working.
The war.
Yeah.
We're all doing the war.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all involved with the war.
We're fighting.
We're fighting. Either on the home front
To
or
stay alive.
we're just all
or
in
fighting
this.
the enemy.
We're all in
Oh,
on
for
this
sure.
thing.
Yeah.
Are you going to go into politics?
I am
because you
not
are
at all.
very political.
No.
It seems like it. You slip and slide on every question.
I would say slip and slide. I do
look at
feel
that. I
like
wouldn't say slip and slide. What I would say is
I'm definitely hardened in my vagueness. No.
that's a great phrase. That's a book title. Hardened in my vagueness. I'm going to steal that. That's genius.
I think I just experienced so many walks of life, and I've experienced so.
What do you mean walks of
just
life?
in terms of skateboarding, like so many people that chose to skateboard were outcasts and misfits and had really difficult backgrounds, and so I just grew up around all that. So I came to be much more understanding.
I remember doing this joke about. Oh, it's probably in my book, which...
Oh, wow. Did someone drop that there?
Yeah, somebody just dropped this here. Oh, what this Guardian said will shock you. Anyway, pre-order it now. But there's one in there about... We're talking about cultural appropriation, and they were doing it with sports. And they got mad last Olympics with surfing because it was cultural appropriation from Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is your sport in the Olympics?
Yes.
See?
As of last in Tokyo.
Right. That's congratulations.
Yeah, it is a big deal.
Well, you
And
probably
Paris this year.
you did that probably more than anyone.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Anyway, so we were talking about how it's so ridiculous. First of all, surfing, like, how do we know where it started? The idea of standing on a board in the water.
I mean, it's pretty well documented that it was Hawaii, but I do feel like they honor
Oh,
Hawaii.
come
in
on.
that.
There was zillions of islands around there. Like, that nobody else thought of that. Even if they did, so the fuck what? Why is it wrong?
Oh, no, I didn't say it was wrong.
But this is what they were saying. It's cultural
Okay, yeah,
appropriation.
I don't agree
And
with
then
that.
we mentioned...
There's a hardened opinion. I don't agree with that. How's that? That it's not appropriation.
Okay. So we do agree, though, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Right. I mean, it's standing on the board in the water. I mean, it's just fun in the ocean. Okay, so, but then, like, badminton came from France, I think? Or maybe tennis.
Sure.
You don't know that?
I don't know.
I think tennis came from France. And maybe skiing came from Norway. Judo came from Korea. Or Taekwondo came from Korea. Judo came from the Far East, and skateboarding came from the Far Out. That was the joke. Which I always thought was pretty cute. But to your point, like, it always seemed like a place for misfits.
Yes, absolutely. It was where we belonged. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, as opposed to, like, picking up a guitar, you did that.
Yeah, but I think there was a sense of community in skateboarding where, here's how I felt. I played basketball and baseball, and I was okay. I never felt like I was making measured progress in any of those.
Right.
And then every time I skated, I got better at it.
Right.
So at some point I thought, this is what I love doing, because I love the freedom of it, and I love that I always improve what I'm doing. And then I found this community of people that were supportive, but also were understanding, and it was an individual pursuit. And it was more like, this is more like an art form as much as a sport.
Almost like ballet.
Sure, but with
Or not. You don't have to humor me on that.
I mean,
ballet is because ballet is athletic.
Yeah.
As well as an art form. It's a little like,
but the idea that skateboarding was highly competitive. I mean, I guess ballet is highly competitive in terms of you're trying out for roles and stuff, but I'm talking about, like, there were these competitions where you were getting judged and you wanted to do well so you could get recognized to move forward. But what I found was just this group of people that were so creative and supportive, yet motivated. And they listened to weird music, they dressed weird, they had crazy haircuts, and I loved it. And I felt like these are my people. And so when I had any modicum of success, the first thing I wanted to do was provide those facilities for kids who are disenfranchised and kids who choose skateboarding but don't have anywhere to go to do it.
So you were rebelling against your stern father.
He was actually very supportive of skateboarding.
He was,
yeah.
From the beginning?
From the beginning, yeah, because he saw what it provided me. And also, I mean, let's put it this way. The year I chose to go all in on skateboarding was the same year they appointed him Little League president in our area. And he was okay with me quitting Little League in that year, which was an awkward conversation. But
why? Because he was so invested in you being a baseball player?
Well, the only reason he's in the part of the Little League is I'm on a team.
Right.
And I quit. So he had to finish out the year without any of his kids in Little League.
Right. Yeah, that is embarrassing.
And I would be at the skate park. So
But I mean,
But he was, like I said, he was totally supportive, and he actually helped to form one of the only sanctioning bodies at the time for competition, because he saw that there was no organization in skating. It was just such a Wild West.
So You were famous by what age?
I guess that depends on how you define fame.
Right,
I
it's
was,
always shifting. That's true. But I
was
mean, like,
known in the skateboard community for sure by the time I was 15 or 16.
and in the wider community, like, when would I
So in the 80s, skating was kind of big.
feel like I knew who
Back
you
to the
were in the
Future.
80s? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
feel-
doing really well in competitions. So if anyone was looking at skateboarding, they might have seen my name because I was winning a lot of events. But so you
And
know,
did it
like
make you popular,
mid to late 80s.
like with girls?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a weird time because there weren't a lot of
Yeah,
girls.
there must be skateboarding groupies.
More so now.
More so now?
Yeah, because skating is really
You
considered
feel
cool
cheated by
now.
that?
What's that?
Do you feel cheated by that?
No,
Are you bitter?
no,
Come on.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I've
me about
lived
all-
many
tell me-
lifetimes.
How is a skateboarding groupie like different than, say, the Motley Crue groupie?
I don't. I haven't met both, so I don't really know.
Well, I'll get Tommy Lee over here.
But now skateboarding is much more diverse. I mean, there are equal events, and there's parity and prize money, men and women. So, groupie is a tough term, but I would say that if you say that you're a pro skateboarder now, that has much more merit than when I said I was a pro skateboarder in 1984.
Really?
Because if you said
Yeah.
you're a pro skateboarder in 1984, they're like, you still skateboard at your age? And I was 16.
Right. It was a kid's
It was
thing.
a kid's thing.
Right.
Yeah, so it was more like
So
it wasn't the
interesting.
best in to meet girls.
Wow. Huh.
And then when there was sort of a little bit of more hype in like 1988-ish,
Yeah.
then it was more like, oh, hey, that's cool. You're a professional. Wow, you travel the world.
Well, you got married young, right?
I did, yeah.
How old?
I was 24.
Okay. So, when you get married at 24, what are you thinking? Because
Well, I was starting a family. I mean, it was all kind of happening quick. It didn't last just that way, but it
Yeah,
was
the
more
fir-
just
it's-
I was kind of a disaster. So, I thought I was getting grounded in my chaotic lifestyle of skating because skating was taking me all over the world and it was kind of frantic.
Mhm.
It was like it was a strange space to be in because no one had really done it yet, made a career like that. And we were sort of forging the way, so we didn't really even know what
but
we
that's
were doing.
exciting, isn't it?
It was exciting, yeah.
It's so, I mean, to
Yeah.
be,
It was crazy. I mean, I never expected to leave San Diego, and all of a sudden I was in Japan for 2 weeks. I was in Australia for a month. I was in Europe for 2 months. It was like, I didn't, it wasn't like when people pick up the guitar and they're like, I'm going to travel the world and I'm going to play. It was like, I picked up a skateboard because I love doing it. I had no idea that it was going to take me around the world or make any money ever. It was kind of wild.
and what about drugs? Is it like Lance Armstrong and the doping scandal? That there was steroid or
No.
whatever. They're not doping to.
I've never seen anyone that was doing that was, I don't know. That I feel like that just doesn't give you an advantage.
never were-
skating.
Really?
No, yeah. I mean,
But
at some point you got to be
hand-eye coordination and
you got to be
quickness.
flexible too, though. You know what I mean?
Why would that make you inflexible? I mean,
I don't know. It just feels like if you're on steroids, it's more for the actual power and the muscles.
okay, but like when
I don't think it's
when
an
baseball
advantage to
when
it.
baseball was going through its steroid
Yeah.
period. You remember that?
Sure.
Mark McGuire, Sammy
Sure.
Sosa, Barry Bonds, they were all hitting 70.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like skateboarding isn't about the.
But why did they hit? What was the connection between why those balls were flying out and the steroids? I think it's hand-eye coordination.
Not strength or the power behind it.
Yes, that too. But I think what really makes the ball fly out of the yard is how fast you hit it. And
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there might be an example of someone that was juicing and skateboarding and that was doing well, but I don't know anything about that. Like I've never seen anyone.
I've never
do it.
thought they should have even been prosecuted because everything changes in sports
Mhm.
over time. I mean, Babe Ruth didn't have to face black players. Really, in his era, he didn't have to play night games. he had a high batting average because they wore little mitts, you know. I mean, everything. So the fact that they were, you know, juicing at a certain point. I mean, but so were the pitchers. Roger Clemens was doing
well,
it too.
I mean, that's the whole thing with Lance Armstrong. It was like, it wasn't that he was doing it. It was that everyone was doing it. So he figured out how to do it the most stealthy or the better way. I don't know. Like, yeah, that's wild.
Well,
but
he sat here and he told me how he did it. He said, every drug test I took, it was a real drug test. It wasn't somebody else's pee. It's just that I knew how to get stuff that left your body in 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, that was it. It was like, don't hate the player, hate the game.
That's
That's
why I think the Lance Armstrong story is a great story.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Because it's a great American story because America wanted him to be the champion.
Right.
And he did what we wanted. He got to be the champion by doing something that everybody else was doing. And then, you know, he was history's greatest monster when he lied about it.
Yeah.
And he was, by his own admission, kind of an asshole about it. And was like very driven. You know, you seem like the nice version. Not that he's a bad guy.
But also when you talk about skating, like, I just don't think anything is going to be an advantage. I know plenty of skaters that smoked a lot of weed.
Really? Weed? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and they skated
well.
You. What's that?
Doesn't do anything for you. But yeah, that I associate with skating. Like almost to the point where you could do a joke, and I think I probably have, and I think I may have just done one, intimating the connection between weed and
I mean, I agree with you that there's definitely the stereotype, and to some extent, especially in the 80s, that was on point. But I feel like now skating is so much more diverse, and there's so many people, and now it's in the Olympics, so people are very serious, but they're working out. Like, they're sponsored by Nike. They have those resources.
Baked when you skated?
No, I smoked weed a little bit when I was younger, and it really affected my skating negatively. And I was so hyper fixated on skating that it was like, I can't do that because this is what I have. This is what I do.
No, I can see that. I mean, I can see how it would be bad. I've played basketball stoned, and I can be pretty good stoned. Sometimes I think even better, but not drunk. I tried that a couple. That really threw my game off.
I learned my lesson the hardest way: drinking and skating. I was skating at a party. Basically, I didn't realize it was like before raves were raves, and it was just this random warehouse party way outside of a city in New Zealand.
You were hired to do this, or you were just having fun?
No, we were there on tour, and they said, "Hey, there's this big warehouse party. You guys should go." And they have a mini ramp. I'm like, yeah, sweet, let's go.
Okay.
And so we went, and somewhere around 1 or 2 a.m. they said, last call, let's go drink. And so we went and pounded a few beers, went back to the mini ramp. I dropped in and hit the other wall, like as if it was just a wall, not a ramp or a slope.
And that was uncharacteristic.
Very much so. And that was my lesson. I was like, I can't drink and skate.
Is that on film?
No, thankfully.
Are you sure?
I mean, we're talking about like 1990.
What about doing a reenactment?
I do that enough on accident. So.
Did you ever think you were going to die doing that?
No.
No? You never thought, I just fucking, like, while you were midair?
I had some bad concussions, bad accidents. And for sure, in hindsight, that was extremely dangerous and life-threatening. What's that?
You've had concussions?
Yeah, several, yeah.
What's that like?
It sucks because you wake up and you wake up elsewhere and you at first don't remember what happened.
You were completely knocked out.
Oh, yeah.
So when you come to.
Yeah, well, there's sort of a gray period where you have come to, but you keep repeating the questions. You keep asking what happened, and you're not cognizant really.
Wow.
Because I've seen other people go through it, so I know what it's like.
Scary.
What's scary is when you've had enough concussions that you recognize you're concussed. And so you're like, I know this feeling.
Right.
I must have hit my head. But also it calms you down because you think, it's going to come back to me.
Right.
I'm going to get there. But I've had residual effects. I mean, a couple times where there was one where there were a couple weeks where I couldn't really concentrate. I was trying to edit videos. I just couldn't make sense of it. So I'm very cognizant of that. I'm very I'm aware of the risks, and I've definitely been proactive in
And-
studying it.
Are there lingering effects? I mean, like,
No.
no? So like a day later, you're not like
Not now.
peeing in the hamper and throwing your
No,
clothes in the
no,
toilet?
not now. No, I mean, I definitely had, like I told you that one. I had another one where I had recurring migraines for a couple weeks. So,
But that's what they worry about in football, CTE.
of course, yeah, and like I said, I've been proactive in sort of getting tested and making sure that I have all my facilities, and
So this is as smart as you get.
this is it. You get me at my best.
So what do you do for fun when you're not risking your life?
I just stay home. I just try to stay home.
What's at home? Your wife?
My wife, we have one still at home. My daughter's
So
15.
this is wife number 3?
Yeah, 4.
4?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
But I mean, we're on 10 years. I finally figured it out.
What is different about the 4 that you didn't know?
Well, one is that we are absolutely perfect for each other, no question.
That helps.
2 is that I finally did a lot of work on myself and sort of figured out how to be happy, centered, content, and honestly to like what I was doing, to like myself, because I was skating, but I just didn't really. At some point, I was
You grew up and matured. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Aging sucks. We all know that. But it's also fucking great because you're just different in your 50s and 60s. You're comfortable in your skin. You know exactly who you are.
This is the best version I've been, for sure.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a cruel joke that the God I don't believe in.
No, but I
Puts
do.
on us.
I feel like, especially with my wife, like, we are older. We're both, she's only a year younger than me, but I feel like we are in our best years. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I always think of that when somebody great croaks, like, wow, like so much that you put into a life to gather all this wisdom and knowledge and sensitivity and all these good things. And then, that's the time you would want to preserve it.
Right, and that's when your body's starting to fail you.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's when it goes,
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely hanging on, hanging on to that, to what youth I have, especially with the skating. But I feel you, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's only about tomorrow person. Like memories, sad memories of things that were bad and sad. They don't make me sad. They make me happy because they're over.
Yeah.
But good memories make me sad because good memories are things that are also over.
And fleeting.
Yep. And in many ways, irrecuperable.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But the future is still the future. No matter how old you are, tomorrow is still.
Oh, no. And I feel like we're creating incredible memories now, because we have that much appreciation, and we have all of that experience to understand why we should appreciate it that much more. No, I mean, I love life now. It's way more fun than it's ever been.
So the 4th wife is the lucky one.
I
She's
think
the one that got the good version of you.
Well, but also she was the catalyst for that. Yeah.
Do you ever feel bad about past wives, past relationships?
Wait,
let me finish the question.
Okay.
Feel bad because you learned something on a later person that you didn't know when you were with the earlier person, and you're like, yeah, that I would have gone better for her and me and you if I had known that then, but I didn't learn it until Susie. But I feel bad because I should have known it when I was with Sally, but I didn't, and so she suffered.
I don't think I get that introspective on it.
No,
No.
I feel that all the time. I feel like, oh yeah, if I hadn't been such a dipshit.
I mean, I feel like I could say that through so many points in my life, not just with relationships, but.
So you think it's as ridiculous as I do when people say, I have no regrets?
Oh yeah. Well, that just seems like you're not accountable for anything.
It seems to me like you're not sentient. I mean, how can
Yeah.
you not have regrets? Every day I have a regret, even if it's just the most minor ones.
Sure.
Like, it's like, I never had a perfect day. Like Trump had a perfect call. My day was perfect. I was in court. I didn't say a word.
I always wondered what a perfect call sounded like. Like, I wonder if you hang up and go, that was a perfect
it's
call.
such a testament to his insanity to even come up with that concept. I mean, it's just not a phrase that you've ever heard anyone else say. A perfect call. Perfect. A phone call? Perfect? Like, no one else in the universe ever put those two things together. A perfect and a phone call. It just doesn't happen except in the mind of an insane person. That's what people miss about him. He's stupid, of course, but also insane. That is insane. That is a level of insanity of our past and future president. But I don't want to drag you into politics. And
I did politically incorrect.
oh, I remember.
Yeah.
You remember the sign?
Sure.
The
Yeah.
be-
Yeah. I
behind
saw
you?
it. Yeah.
Isn't that awesome that I fucking saved that all these years?
pretty
And
cool.
Doesn't it look like a cool thing in front of a stripper pole? Isn't that where it belongs?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I mean, come on, man. I remember. Again, 90s. But that's why I'm saying I was obviously aware of you then, and you obviously had risen to the level where you were on talk shows.
Yeah. I don't know if I was quite prepared or qualified to be on politically incorrect, but I was stoked.
There were no qualifications.
Okay.
That was the point of the show.
That was the idea.
The point was to put together four people who were. But I always thought that was a great name because of the Chiron, of course, that were senator, actress, skateboarder. It's like perfect. This is what I'm trying to do: create this train wreck of mismatched people. And do you remember who you were on with?
No, I don't. I remember I tried to get a few words in edgewise, and it didn't land.
Somebody was drowning you out?
Yeah.
Could have been Pauly Shore.
It was not Pauly Shore. I would have remembered that for sure. I feel like I would have been, like, I had a little chum with him. So.
But I mean, when you do see stuff, from the 90s, occasionally they'll rerun something somewhere or something. I mean, it does look like the land that time forgot.
Oh, yeah.
The hair, there's a certain kind of, I think it was Armani-influenced suit that men were wearing.
The thin leather jackets.
That too. I mean, it wasn't as horrific as the 80s with the hot pink and the hot ice blue. But there is a kind of a look, and the ties are, if you see a movie from the 90s, and it's like, wow, that should be recent. And that show went on 31 years ago.
Right.
I mean, 31 years is,
That's a lot of taped conversation.
That's a chunk of time. I know. I don't know where it goes, or of course you can't get it back, but what would you tell if you have one thing to tell your young self from your old self, what would you tell them? What would save you the most pain that you could say to a person?
If you find yourself shooting a TV show for MTV with two of the Jackass cast, and you're dressed in a monkey suit, don't try to do a full loop. That's what I would tell my younger self.
Much more specific than I
Yeah, it's
thought.
very specific. Yeah, because I ended up with a broken pelvis, a fractured skull, broken thumb, and a lot of pain.
So what show was this for?
Wild Boys.
Wild Boys.
Yeah.
That was on MTV?
Yeah, that was one of the offshoots of Jackass. So it was when Steve-O and Chris Pontius did their own thing with mostly like animals, wild animals.
Okay, the Steve-O guy was taking shots at me in the press recently.
Oh yeah, that was unfortunate.
It was not unfortunate. Unfortunate as Darfur. This was just, look, I don't want to start a feud, and I'm sorry that he felt slighted or something, but it is ridiculous that somebody thinks that I should give up pot smoking because they have a problem. Then I'm sorry, you can't be here. And,
Well, it's your show.
it's my show, my house, my rules. And it's sort of almost the point of the show is that I already have another show. It's called Real Time. It's on
Right.
HBO, and it's very much not on pot. It's on point. This is different. This is just shooting the shit.
Yep.
And this is how I shoot the shit.
Mhm.
This is an attempt to get conversation as real as it ever is, just like if we were doing this. And I don't see anything that we've said that I wouldn't have just said to you if there were no cameras here.
Mhm.
And you don't even know where the cameras are. Okay, so let's remember that. But, you know, that's what it is. And, I mean, I have no feud with any of these Jackass. I've watched all the movies. They are funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I do like that kind of, even though I know it's coming, like a physical gag like that. It's funny.
Well, so much of it is I was actually talking about this. We have a podcast, Hawk versus Wolf.
I know you do.
And we just interviewed Jeff Tremaine today, the director of Jackass. And we were talking about how a lot of the skits that became Jackass iconic moments
Right.
were just things that were filler for skate videos. I mean, all that stuff was like, there would be skate videos, you'd have just sort of weird segues in between the skating segments, which were just kind of Jackass type stunts.
Right.
And that's how they started. That really is how they started. They had Big Brother magazine, was a sort of irreverent skate magazine that was uncensored, that was just raw and funny. That's where Knoxville did his review of self-defense devices.
Okay.
And where he shot himself. I don't know if you ever saw that, but that's
Yes.
that was for a skate magazine. And so they made a video of it, and then they were talking about how this just was skating sensibilities turned into a whole show.
But what you were doing, you were not trying to hurt yourself.
Not at all.
I mean,
but,
there's a very big difference.
but we knew the humor in it.
I see the Venn diagram
Sure.
overlap
Okay.
between what you do and Jackass. I think there's a huge
I
difference.
just said skate sensibilities. I'm just talking about the idea that you're willing to risk yourself for.
Yes, but you're doing it again to perform this ballet. They're not doing it for that reason, you know.
Sure.
Just take the compliment because it is in your favor.
Oh,
you know?
I'm a fan.
And
I love it.
Look, like I say, I love laughing, and that shit gets. I mean, that's a great just a laugh-a-thon. Most of it, some of it, if it's gross or something, I mean, I can also hate it. But it's look, they gave me laughs. I like anyone who gives me laughs, but it also does remind me that, you know, show business, you got to love it. And one thing about it is, if you really insist on being in show business, you can be. You can find a way. It won't be dignified.
Yes.
You know, it's the old joke about the guy who shovels the shit behind the elephant at the circus.
Yeah, leave your dignity at the door.
You know, what, and leave show business?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and some people just insist on being in show business, and God bless them.
Yeah.
That's, you know, you made it work for you at a price I don't think is worth it. But if that's the only way you were going to get into the business, I mean, you work with what you got. You work with the hand you're dealt.
But I do think that they had they were creative in this Buster Keaton sort of way, and it was they were willing to destroy themselves for the sake of comedy. But
That's the little.
But it was so funny. I mean, we were just talking about, I don't know if you see the bungee thing with Preston and Wee Man, where Preston is the bigger guy,
Right.
Wee Man is the little guy,
Right.
and Preston stood on a bridge and he was bungeed to Wee Man, who jumped off the bridge, and just that in itself was
Right.
one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
No, it is funny. It is. I mean, it damn well better be
Yes,
when you give up your kidney.
true.
You know,
Yeah.
you better
Or your urethra, as Johnny
you better
Knoxville
get-
knows.
I mean, I've given up dignity for sure on stage. I mean, when you're standing there opening for, you know, a rock band, which I've done, and they're
Sure.
literally throwing shit at you to get off the stage, and you're dodging stuff while you're telling jokes, you do not have a shred of dignity. I'll admit that. I mean, I've been there.
And paying your dues.
Yes, and or by my own stupid fault, like, you know, turning off a crowd. I mean, this is 40 years ago, but, you know, still. And so, like, no matter what I said, they were like, look, like when your girlfriend's pissed at you, you know, just a look on their face like, you think I'm going to laugh at you now?
Yeah.
After what you just said? So, I mean, but that's a lot different than your body.
True.
You know, you only get one, and as we know, it's a reclamation project to keep it in top shape
Oh,
as
I know it?
time
Yeah.
goes by. But you generally feel healthy.
I
and-
do. I kind of turned a corner recently. I broke my leg 2.5 years ago. Like broke my femur in half.
Doing what you love.
Doing what I love. Yeah. And being careless with it. And I paid the price. I fucked around and found out. And that recovery was really rough because I got back on my skateboard too soon. My bone shifted out of alignment. So I had to have a second surgery to put it back in place. And now I've taken it upon myself where I'm not taking those unnecessary risks anymore. I embrace how old I am and that I get to do this at all on any level. So I've actually kind of reached a more baseline of skating.
You always got to throttle back, and it's
Sure.
aging is a.
But I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't until I was 53.
Yeah, it's not going to be exactly the same, and that's okay. That's the.
I think that's the hard lesson I learned.
You make up for it with other
through that thing.
You know, it's always a balancing and act and a trade-off of, but I'm also getting better at this.
True.
You know, I mean, I'm lucky because what I do is up here, so I can be getting better at 68.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas an athlete, you guys, that candle burns when you're young.
Yeah.
And that's something one of the great advantages, I'll never understand the beauty, the joy. Kind of the same with music, usually flowers only when you're young, of certain highs that I think athletes and musicians reach. But I'm also like doing better at my age than most of them are. Certainly
too.
Athletes.
Yeah, but when you say it's funny because skateboarding, like I said, is such an art form as much as it is a sport that there are techniques that I now have learned and that I am working on that are better than what I used to do. They're just not as high impact or as risky. And it's like I never wanted to zero in on those because they didn't seem as interesting. And now they are the interesting thing because it's more like, I can explore this because I still have the skill set and these things aren't going to kill me.
That itself is interesting.
It's really fun.
But
I mean, like today, this year, I learned a new trick that no one had done before.
But in 10 years?
No, not in 10. I mean, I don't know. If you asked me 10 years ago, will you be doing this in 10 years? I would have probably said, I don't know. So
Mick Jagger is going on tour at 80. I mean,
I think 80 is that's it. No more McTwist at 80.
But then what will you replace it with?
No, I mean, I think that I'll replace it with enjoying my children and my children's children and more just sort of reveling in that.
But you've already been doing that for decades.
Sure. Well, I'm saying grandkids. Grandkids would be great because then you can rile them up and give them back.
Yeah, I never had the chip to like kids or want to have kids or
Oh, you've been very transparent about that.
Well, that sounds like you're hurling down a glove there.
No. I'm just saying. I know that about you. I watched. I'm a fan.
Oh,
so,
thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean.
So I'm just saying. I've heard you say it many times. You're not interested in having kids. You don't like kids.
I'm not. Well, I feel like I have to speak that because nobody else will, and I speak for so many people in the country. You'll feel that way.
Oh, for sure.
And all I'm ever saying about that is that there should be no moral dimension to it. When I started in television, probably when you were first on that show, it was considered kind of like you're a weirdo if you don't aspire to have children.
Oh, I agree completely, and I know plenty of people that are not interested, and that's their choice. I respect it. Like, of course, you don't have to.
Right.
It's not a requirement of being a human.
Right, exactly. And it doesn't make you a better or worse person.
Yeah.
What makes you a better or worse person, I think, is how you are as a parent. If you're a bad parent, you're a worse person than me. Because I didn't fuck anybody up.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody.
Yeah, you're creing more problems.
But I didn't fuck anybody up either. I didn't have somebody and then shirk my responsibility.
No, I agree with you completely.
If I had had a kid, I don't think I would have, been there to the degree that a kid needs. I mean, to a certain degree, you absolutely do have to trade your life for your children's. I mean, that is the priority life now. You go through your life before you have children, and there's no doubt whose life is a priority? Mine. Now, you fall in love, maybe you'd save your lover before you. Certainly Jack did it in Titanic, although as many people have pointed out, although I was
They
one of the
been,
first.
yeah, didn't have to.
Right, he could have got on the thing.
That's so
she
dumb.
was
That
a,
is
she
the
was a
dumbest
little
thing.
selfish there with the, yeah, you know what? I've had a rough day. I really need to stretch out. But, you know, I just never wanted kids. I didn't want them when I was young, and they were cruel. Kids are cruel. I didn't need that, and you know, they ostracize you, they bully you. Like I said, they have to be taught to be decent human beings. It is not.
Oh,
It's
sure,
not something
yeah.
that comes naturally.
Yeah, I'm, and on the flip side of that, like I said, my wife and I, we have many children between us, and the most rewarding thing is when
When you say many between us, but you mean?
she has 2, I have 4.
Oh, I see. That's the 6.
Yeah,
So it's a blended family.
blended
So you
family,
had
yeah.
4 biological ones, and then, oh, I see. So this is like yours, mine, and ours.
absolutely, yeah,
I see.
yeah, and it's just the most rewarding thing as a parent. And I'm not in no way am I trying to
No.
to pitch it to you. I'm
You're
just saying
not-
one of the most rewarding thing as a parent is when you see your kids and they end up becoming young adults or full-blown adults, when you see them make good choices and you know that you had some influence
Yeah,
on
and I'm
that.
sure that's great.
That is the and at some point, you know, we've come a long way with our relationship, and there's been plenty of ups and downs through all of our years. But when we see them all together and we see them talking, conversing, joking,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, that's what it's about. And we look at each other and go,
Right.
we did it.
right.
Look at this.
No, I
These are functioning adults. Yeah.
I obviously can't relate in a direct way, but I get that. I really
And
do.
but I get it for you, where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not interested. That's not
No.
my. That's not
and,
my.
and there's no danger of you tempting me, talking me into this.
Oh no, no.
There'd be more.
In no way would I.
Be more likely that I go out there and do a half pipe, or I could do a full pipe. I could do a hash pipe before this would happen. But it is just personal taste, and it's probably, again, everything goes back to our first few years of life, and
Yeah.
what environment plus innateness and what we inherited, our genetics, our DNA, made us this person we are. And it is amazing to me how that has been so steady throughout my life, the kid thing. Didn't like them when I was one, didn't change in my...
When I
didn't-
was what?
When I was one,
Feel that, yeah.
didn't change in my childbearing age, and didn't change in my post-childbearing age.
Did you ever date anyone with a kid?
Oh, single mothers?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. There was it's funny you say that. I did have a single mother period where I don't know what it was, the universe, although I don't believe in that, but I just was with a lot of single mothers. I mean, they were 22.
Okay.
You know, I was probably 40.
So, but young kids then.
Very young kids who I never met.
Oh yeah. Okay, I get
And
it.
never wanted to
Yeah.
meet. And they were fine with that. They
Yeah.
were like young mothers
Right.
who were they of course loved their kid, but they were young. They wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
When I came around, it was it was not about the kid, and we both loved it that way.
Yeah.
I once had an idea, and I pitched it, and could have sold it, except there was a technical problem. I mean, a business problem. I was on a network, and I couldn't do a show for another network, but they wanted to do it, the Single Mother's Beauty Pageant. I wanted to do a beauty pageant.
Wow.
I pitched this really and they put the little 4-year-old boy in a tuxedo, walking his mother down. There would not have been a dry eye in the house. I would still do it if anybody's hearing this who wants to do my Single Mother's Beauty Pageant.
That sounds like the reboot of Politically Incorrect.
This would be even better. You have to get HBO's permission, and that's going to be tough again. But I think I could knock this out of the park. I think it's very funny, and I think it tugs at the hearts of Americans because, there was a time when single mothers was not a thing. I mean, you ever watch Mad Men?
Sure.
Great show about you're a little younger than me, but my youth in the 60s, there were no single mothers. That was not a thing.
No.
We didn't hear about it at school. It wasn't in the neighborhood, Then it became a big thing. And so there was some judgment, much less now, but there's so many single mothers. Now it's
Oh,
almost,
I mean, I grew up in the 70s, so most of my friends, it was just they live with their mom. That was it.
is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing the way the family did really break down
Mhm.
from when I was a kid. I mean, honestly, growing up in 60s New Jersey, there was quite a few suicides.
Wow.
But no divorce,
Mhm.
which tells you something about marriage.
Oh, my God.
No,
I
really.
walked into that
There
one.
no, it's true. There was like guys in the swimming pool.
Wow.
But not a divorce. Yeah, that was like much more common, I feel. I remember 3 of those and no divorce. And on Mad Men, there was one character who was the divorced lady, and she was like shunned, like we were the Amish or something, and she was using a radio. I mean, she was like lived at the end of the block, and her kid was all fucked up, and
You word.
the D word.
Yep.
It's amazing how far this country has come. But anyway, I gotta go back to my day job. But this
Well,
was
I'll watch you there. So
yeah, I
thank you.
appreciate that.
So my wife, she has sleepless nights sometimes, and if I hear your voice, I know that she's not sleeping.